NYYRIKKI looking spicy, specifically Ado. JDXL failed in spring, they're gonna do it again. It is a hard take to start off the day.
Big words. But you know what? I can respect it. Coming into the matchup realistically as kind of the underdogs of the game, give it fighting words. Because then, you know, if you lose, sure, whatever happens. But if you win, it's big on the mentality.
For sure, but you also need to realize that XL failed towards playoffs once it was the best of 3 scenario. And the best of 1 scenario in spring, they look damn scary, okay? It's not per se a team that you want to mess around with. And I think for sure that Aero, of course, is coming from a place where he's got the confidence, and you need to have that. You know, it's a player like Perks who said that you need to be a little bit delusional every now and then to actually, if you want to win something. And that's, of course, the mentality you're going to have to come in with it for. But I also think that, once again, NYYRIKKI did come from a 2-0 week. JDXL still looked great, of course, themselves. But this is not looking as clear-cut as, per se, maybe it would be.
Can I interest you guys in one lane I would like to focus, bot side?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think NYYRIKKI are looking really clean on the bot side, and JDXL, in my opinion, the only side that is struggling at the beginning of the game is the bot lane.
Yeah, it's definitely been a small thing. I think FGG outside of lane in particular, when we've seen him on the engaged champs, you know, during week 1, fine. In lane, maybe a problem as well. Venza, in particular, it's always been a thing with Venza, whether it's in the mid game or whether it's in the early laning phase.
Yeah.
He just likes to get caught out. He just does it. It's just in his characterization as a player. If he works on it, great. But I think this is definitely, like you say, it's an avenue for NYYRIKKI to try and get involved in.
And it's interesting as well because this is a bot lane. Despite Venza and FGG being on a new team, they were on the same team beforehand. They were both Dusty's bot lane. So this is not a bot lane who's coming in to build new synergy. This is a bot lane who got the time to build that synergy. And they're going up against one of the bot laners at NYYRIKKI, who also had the luxury of staying together. And Asitor and Abagnale became key pieces in Spring Split for NYYRIKKI. Asitor would carry performances, specifically on the Aphelios, but also Abagnale on champions like Rakan, where he had agency, even when it looked horrible, you know, into too much CC, where you're like, this is never going to work, you need the perfect flank. He found the perfect flank every time. And while that needle eye is even thinner against a team like JDXL, it's these windows that a team like NYYRIKKI is looking for, and it's also what's making it difficult for them, but it's that kind of, you know, courage that sometimes catches a team off guard.
Okay, you have to be a little bit delusional to play League of Legends and to exceed in what you need to do.
Sure.
Ado, does he need to do that right now because he's against the solo bolo? And I do believe JDXL are no longer playing towards MNS. They're playing with the advantage MNS brings, but they're playing as a core, like in leaving MNS to do his own thing. And he's being part of the team. What can we expect from this? I'm throwing in topics I want to see.
That's a good read on it, to be honest with you. I don't think that's too far from the truth. I'm kind of surprised. Good job. No, like I feel like this is kind of correct. I feel like in general the early games aren't, you know, revolving around MNS like how they were in spring, right? Especially in the games where MNS would maybe have his happy games where he would go, you know, 0-3 in lane or something like that. I feel like they are just kind of playing with the individual lead that MNS gets and they just roll with it, but they'll have a game plan to ensure that, you know, if it's getting Cries ahead or if it's, you know, trying to unlock FGG so that you can roam with Dan, that they're playing towards those things. And if MNS is working out great in his lane, fantastic. Play with that and use that to our advantage.
I think Aero is good, but I don't think you can compare Aero to MNS on any of the parameters as a mid laner. I just think that clear-cut, MNS is just a better player. And that's just how it is in the end. But that doesn't stop you from perhaps drafting something scaling, like some of the not burst control mages, but like low CD control mages, like Victor Ori, something like that, Asir as well, that we've seen. Something that can let Aero just, you know, have a late game avenue, especially for a patch that also benefits that with a slower early game. I think laners who excelled at laning phase in the earlier patches, like MNS, for example, got cut down a little bit because people got more HP. They got more room to work around with. They got room for more mistakes. Whereas in the late game now, if you're a player with hands that could play team fight but maybe struggled a little bit in lane, well, now you have more avenue once you come to these team fights. And Aero might be that kind of player. So I think in lane, it's still going to be MNS with the advantage. I think for Aero, the name of the game is literally just don't fall too far behind. You got a patch that kind of benefits this. You get to the late game. You get to come together with a team, hopefully with your bot lane winning. Well, then you suddenly have a game plan.
It's a team with hunger versus a team that is constantly winning so far in Summer Split. But enough with guesses. We need to jump into Champion Select to see how this first game of Week 3 is going to go. What are our priorities right now? What do you believe is the picks and the bans we need to look out for? Is Viego going to be target? What do you believe?
I think this is actually a question we can ask ourselves and really ask the teams instead, where we don't have that clear-cut answer. Have you asked me like 2 months ago, right, with what we know is good on the patch?
Yeah.
We know. But right now, teams, and us specifically as well, are also figuring out what is good. The teams we're watching right now currently don't even know fully what always is the best to go for. So I think it's really just interesting for us to more like analyze these drafts, see what the tendencies kind of come through, and then kind of get behind the theory that the team will have and the thought process that they're trying to get at.
Yeah, I think what's kind of great about 12-10 is the entire patch is kind of just a learning experience for everybody involved. So Senna is definitely one of those picks which has kind of slowly risen up over the last week throughout the ERLs and even at the LPL, which has obviously started up already, as kind of near one of the better AD carries, if not the best, on patch. So seeing that banned away does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? The likes of Talia that we've seen both in the mid lane and can be flexed in the jungle, right? We know it for solo queue as well. Absolutely abysmal high win rate, okay? It's one of these champions where Riot even was out to say, you know what? We're throwing a big patch out here. We can't balance it immediately. And we will also see that on this patch. We will see champions with a larger power spike than majority of other champions. But speaking of champions we've had so far, Viego comes through. And if we wanted to attack down the bottom lane, I could easily see them just go for Lucian Nami here and then just try and overpower that bot lane when Venzo and FGG.
Or JDXL can take it themselves. And honestly, this could be a sort of a band-aid fix to that potential problem for JDXL of ensuring that the bottom side of the map isn't gonna, you know, kind of fall apart a little bit inside the lane, something that's not super abusable, and that could put NYYRIKKI in a bit of a tough spot in terms of answering that off, right? What can you realistically play into the Nami Lucian? We've seen a lot of these passive lanes come out, actually things like Senator Kench are some of the answers we see into it, but it's NYYRIKKI that banned that one away, so what will the answer actually be here?
And generally, so far, I feel like the AD carry pool has been so diverse, it doesn't really feel like some champions are running away with it, and I still feel like a player like Aceton could still go, okay, you know what? Aphelios is up and available. It's comfort to me. I know I'm playing against Lucian Nami. It's a lane that will have to get ahead in the early game. I can rely on a scaling aspect instead, if that's what you're looking for. So they can look to stabilize down towards the bot side. They can do with that with Tom Kench as well if they want to. But either way, I think that from the side of Aceton, Abagnale, once again, engage from Abagnale has been named the name of the game, and a hyper carry for Aceton, like the like I was about to say Aceton, because I think right, but that kind of just seems to me something like NYYRIKKI would like to do.
Good late game has been picked, at least for NYYRIKKI, but you want to talk about what?
Yeah, I mean, I think Gorborg, great call. Seeing the Aphelios come out, just pure comfort. Even if we don't really see it too much on the top 10, it's just about ensuring that, all right, you might have a bit of an insufferable time into Nami Lucian in lane. If you can get out of that laning phase not too far behind in a position where you know you can at the very least play the map states out, perfectly okay on this. And rounding out with a little bit of engage definitely does pay a lot of credence. I think this Gangplank pick, though, is particularly powerful. You're already going to have what should innately be a winning 2v2. And on top of that, now you have a global to almost always assist that bottom lane 2v2. It's going to be really, really hard for Aceton and Abagnale to play out this 2v2.
And even greater, so when we see this GP come through, what me and Jamada will instantly think about is just that ultimate will always be used bot lane. At least that's what you're thinking about, because you want to go in level 6, you want to utilize the burst damage to come through. Aceton on the Aphelios is a very immobile champion. If his flash is burned pre-6 or something like that, Cannon Barrage comes down, Lucian Nami dashes in, you should be dead. And that's why all of a sudden this bot lane matchup has become way more scary because of the blind pick GP coming through from the top side.
Can I throw the question? Is this GP going top? Because we still have MNS on the mid lane.
Okay, all right.
It is the coin flip, you know that.
It's Kryze is really good at the champion. They're banning away Camille. I would expect another top lane ban to follow if they feel like there's something else in Bandera's champion pool that they have something to worry about. I would have suggested something like the Kayle because it can be actually picked into it. Vladimir, though, does make a whole bunch of sense. We've seen Bandera's play that one already, and it is very,
Kayle was
very...
the first ban, though.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the kind of ban I would have expected from XL, but it's already been banned away by NYYRIKKI. So.
It's also just the fact that you don't want to forfeit your mid laner here as JDXL. You're looking for a jungler here. You're looking for something where you already know you're playing against Viego. Yes, we've seen solo lane Viego in the past. But if you want to continue on the trend where you want someone who can brawl the Viego in the early game, that was not the one I was going for. That was genuinely not the one that I was going to be going for. But this opened up an avenue for an 80 mid laner as well for MNS. All of a sudden, the AP and AD pool you can go for here has been completely enabled, and pretty much any champion in the game is up for grabs for MNS when he picks that R5.
Wow, I'm not sure what to make of the Shyvana. I've seen a lot of different build paths. We haven't really seen AP Shyvana for a little while in the jungle.
Oh no.
It's not particularly the strongest, I wonder why. But things like the Blade Throne King into the Frozen Fist are kind of like the strongest build paths. We'll see if we get a more AP variant of this though. In Dantan's spoke about how we wanted Era on a safe mid lane pick. Ari is kind of the personification of that, very hard to punish and can be played around. Of course, Ari Viego, we saw plenty of times at MSI. Now I saw to Banderas, he had his champion pool pinched quite plenty, to be honest with you. I wonder if we'll just see the default Gnar pick, but it would be a little bit too weak in my opinion into Gangplank. But instead, just take more engage with the Ornn. I kind of get it, but now Cry should have a bit of a free time in the top side.
So yeah, I think for sure that, you know, either you can go with the Silas or Steer here if that's what you're looking for. Silas just a very, not per se hard counter to Ari, but it's a skill counter that allows you to play easier once you hit that level 6. And there's also a few ultimates you wouldn't mind stealing away either. But while I'm waiting for that pick to come through from JDXL, I just want to talk a little bit about the composition that we are seeing from the side of NYYRIKKI. Because while we had our thoughts that this may be a team that, you know, had figured out 12.10, they have drafted completely, you know, 2 months ago draft here coming through. Okay, we're talking about Ari, we're talking about Viego, we're talking about Aphelios. They've decided to say, we have a new patch, we don't care. We're playing what works, we're playing comfort, and that's what they've thrown at them here.
But I feel like the crucial thing is they have go buttons, and I think against when you're the underdog team, having the ability to have the agency to just say, hey, pull the trigger, we're going right now. Those are the important moments for me, where I'll look at a team and I say, a lot of the time, especially on 12-10, we'll see, you know, Lulu, Karma, not a lot of go buttons, not a lot of, you know, hey, we need to fight now against these stronger teams on paper, and it just comes to bite them in the backside. So I'm happy to see that, yes, we might have a bit of an older style of draft, but it gives them the opportunity to try and go and fight whenever they see the window too.
And specifically, because JDXL doesn't have these go buttons, they have to play around the spacing, right? They have to play around the picks. They have hard damage that can come through a snowballing illusion. They have the space between GP and the barrels and the slows from the cannon barrage. And they have a Sharivana with good poke before a team fight breaks out. But they don't have an immediate go button, so if they fall behind the curve and NYYRIKKI just are not afraid to pull the trigger, every objective they just want to fight, I mean, JDXL should just fall further and further behind. So JDXL, they have to be the better individuals.
A team that has been undefeated so far versus a team that wants to end the reign of terror of JDXL on Summer Split. Who is going to take this one? I don't know, but let us know on chat. Just spam it and make our Mord's life a living nightmare. Without further ado, I'll toss it to the casters. It is Viperoon alongside with TurboLink for the first game of the day.
Well, 12.10. This is the first time I'm in studio for 12.10, and I've been told on Twitter, Hitbrain especially has been like, oh, League of Legends right now, it's a bit slow.
No, listen, I saw your tweet the other day. You're like, I'm loving 12.10. It's the best time of my life. I'm like, no.
There was one game
no team
in Div
fights
2
until Elder Dragon.
that made me question everything. But fortunately for us, we've got two teams here. I'm looking at the compositions that we got as we actually move on to Summoner's Rift for the first game of the day. I'm looking bot lane. That is where my eyes are peeled, because you got Lucian, Nami. That can't be slow, can it?
I mean, I think it's kind of like the two sides of the coin right here. And it's really funny how Gubok also said the name Azita instead of hypercarries, instead of Jinx, instead of Aphelios, right? Because he's literally tied to all of these kinds of hypercarries. And this time he's got the Aphelios in his hands. Now, the major problem that we had with the NYYRIKKI bot lane, even though Aztor is up there to like compete with the top 80 carries we've always had in the league in the NLC, is the fact that his laning phase isn't always that strong. So if Azita gets out of laning phase safe, yes, he can hyper carry and he can carry the entire game for his team. But then if you look on the other side, we have Venzer and FGG on a very aggressive bot lane, like you mentioned as well. My only question mark here will be, we saw this sort of bot lane when they were playing, I think it was Tristana and Rel last week for JDXL, and they found it so difficult to actually make that aggression work towards the bot side of the map, because, ladies and gentlemen, 12.10. We're playing on 12.10 right now, which means the towers deal a lot of damage, and the champions are not as squishy anymore. So you've got a Nautilus down there as well, who is very extremely tanky. So I just want to see what the Venzer and FTG can actually do in this early game. You see, Venzer is actually sporting the Ignite as well. So I'm expecting very aggressive play towards the bot side of the map.
Absolutely. The heal, of course, covered up by the Nami. And I'm very, very interested to see how they play into this. Because as you mentioned, Aztor, this feels like the patch of his dreams, where you can be a bit anonymous in laning phase. He never really goes too far down. He never really loses hard bot lane. But his numbers aren't, well, his numbers are good, but the impact he has isn't necessarily the strongest in the world. There's already a little bit of back and forth between these lanes. Of course, we know that Lucian Nami, very, very potent in those trades. I'm going to keep my eyes a little bit on the jungle as well, because we were looking at the analysts, talking about the drafts there.
They're not there anymore.
Well, they've gone, but I pointed
Look at the analysts.
I just missed their faces. But I'm a little bit concerned for JDXL.
Oh.
Actually, we've got an engage
Oh, you
coming on
should be.
through. FGG's in a lot of trouble here. The aggression was meant to be by JDXL, but it looks like it's NYYRIKKI. Aztor's the one pulling the trigger as they move towards Venza now, but he's a little bit near to his tower. Don't know if they're going to have the damage as FGG moves back in. The exhaust comes down onto Venza. Aztor goes down the first blood. JDXL with the turnaround, and they're going to look towards Abagnale. He's going to be able to get himself a little bit further away and should be too tanky, but that one did not work out for NYYRIKKI.
Okay, I think this was like a very classic JDXL bot lane where like Venzer and FTG are miscalculating the damage right there, they're miscalculating the experience, and it's actually NYYRIKKI coming up with a level 2 and instant engage by Abagnale. I think FTG played this really well to sort of separate from Venzer completely and move towards the top side of the map, and dodging, of course, the Q from Aphelios was the nail in the coffin, actually, because then Venzer could turn it around with that ignite. So really well played right there from JDXL. FTG redeeming himself after getting caught after the level 2, and now it's the Lucian, 17 CS, almost 10 CS ahead at this point, having that kill extra in his pocket, and maybe now we could see some of these dives that we've been looking for getting realized later on once this Lucian has a bunch more items versus the Aphelios.
Absolutely, getting that early first kill is always so great in an aggressive bot lane, and hey, when the opponents are doing the aggressiveness for you, it's just a win-win, isn't it?
Now, the problem is that you're still playing Nami if you're FGG.
Yeah.
And this time you don't have flash, you don't have heal anymore, you have none of these evasive summoners to help you. So if that Nautilus hook hits again, I think FGG might be in very deep trouble. And as you can see here, Venza is also playing a little bit aggressive. Dan is also pathing towards the bottom map, potentially to shadow him, while they're trying to shove in that wave. I don't think we're looking into a dive yet. I would say you're looking for level 6. If you're playing Shyvana, you want your Dragon form to be able to have that extra mobility as well to tank the tower.
Absolutely. And speaking of Dan, I'm just looking at how these two compositions are going to want to play. We had some discussions while we were seeing the draft and a little bit before about how JDXL like to play, because we're already convinced with NYYRIKKI on this patch. We know, hey, you guys are great, brilliant, kings of the patch, don't tell X7. But JDXL, we haven't necessarily been fully convinced every time they step onto the Rift, and it looks like they've drafted full AD.
I think this is the JDXL phenomenon right here. Oh my god,
he's already dead, and Flipper's just passing through. There's no gank to be had.
Wait, I was about to say this is the JDXL bot lane phenomenon, where level 3, level 4, Venzer and FTG will overextend and then they die. But I think this Lucian Nami combo is just so powerful that even when you're playing something as tanky as Nautilus, you really take a beating if you walk too close to the Lucian. And because if they didn't time it correctly with Flipper coming down for that gank, they lose yet another kill. 2-0 right now onto Venza, 15 CS up onto that Aphelios. They're gonna get the first Dragon off the game as well, giving stats over to Shyvana too from the passive. So that's a really good potent start from JDXL.
It's exactly what they needed, exactly what they wanted.
Exactly what the doctor prescribed.
Exactly, and now we're going to see them going back. What's the Lucian going to be able to pick up? Because that's a lot of AD in the bank right now, and the more power you get, the stronger you become.
All right, back to the question as well, or we might have a little bit more action here. As MNS, oh, he uses stun, and there's 3 people mid.
Be a little bit careful, rooted up by Abagnale, and of course you can see the Viego's coming through as well. MNS trying to get away, but there's just no route out. It's Flipper with the kill.
That flash was very ambitious by MNS. I'm not sure where exactly he was trying to go, but 3 members mid. Abagnale straight from the grey screen into mid lane to try and punish MNS, and I think MNS, if you will, has been one of our question marks when it comes to JDXL, because this guy is extremely competent when it comes to knowing his limits in a 1v1, knowing a bunch of these matchups that we don't even know about, all of these weird champions that he's bringing to mid lane, like the Kaisers and the Aphelios that he brought last split, the Zeris and all that. He knows the limits of each matchup so freaking well. Now, what the problem is here, that we've seen a lot of the times MNS overextending, trying to go for the kill, trying to go for the trade, and that's exactly what he did on Aero right there, getting capitalized on instantly by Flipper and Abagnale, making that way towards the mid side of the map. And this also sometimes will stop a lot of the initiative that your team has, right? When there's a plan going down and your mid laner dies, it sort of slows down the plan, it takes down the tempo.
Absolutely, and when you've not necessarily drafted a competition or you need to be around other lanes, so for example in this game, the aggression is down on that bot side. We know that JDXL have historically struggled a little bit at level 3. Not this game, obviously. They're doing exceptionally well.
It looked like it, but it was turned around.
Yeah, that's fine. They were like, oh no, call an ambulance, but not for me.
Oh, that was great. I forgot about that one.
As they just turn around, just Venza's face rising up from behind the car. But Yeah, it can be a little bit concerning, and of course, that could be somewhere where NYYRIKKI could look to capitalize, because they've got this Ari Viego combination, AD, AP, already looks pretty nice, and now Flipper might be trying to make a way down towards the bot side, because as you can see, the priority, the pressure, it's just going to be with Venza and FGG, but it looks like they might have sniffed something out, because they're being very defensive.
Yeah, and Flash just came up for FGG as well, so he would be able to potentially flash an anchor if Bagnell threw one his way. But as you can see, because Dan is on the top side of the map, I think FGG and Venza have to really respect the fact that they don't have any jungle assistance towards the bot side of the map, and you also do not know where Flipper is at this current state. And they're going to shove in the wave. Colin came up, it's a really great way to poke and also push, but now, oh my god!
The tower, that's really aggressive. Flipper's already there. It's the shutdown going on to Viego. Abagnale moving forward, trying to get towards FGG, of course. They've already taken down Azator and FGG. There you go, there's the flash utilized as he does get away.
So here's the thing, that was a trade 1-for-1, but why does that actually benefit JDXL? If you look towards the bot side of the map, 22 CS up for Venza. Right before this fight went down, Venza had shoved an entire wave underneath Azator's tower. Azator got none of this, and he dies. So he loses experience, he loses in gold, Venza is an entire level up, and also Dan is able to make a play towards the top side, getting that Rift Herald, might not get out of his
Arrow
life.
is there, the damage coming on through. Can Dan pick up the eye? Yes, he can flash the way towards Christ. He's going to put down the ultimate, but Banderas is there as well. Flipper is on a killing spree as Christ might be caught out. Eminence dives on through into the brains. A double kill for the Viego as Eminence is trying to get some work done. Abagnale moves in though. You can't 1v4 there as it's NYYRIKKI who take him down. Triple kill for Viego.
Flipper has been in 5 out of 5 kills for his team, and he has cashed in on all 5 of them, baby. 5-0 onto that Viego as well. He's most definitely gonna have Sandura when he goes back to base, and now this Viego is becoming a really huge problem, right? Because even though we saw the trade being positive for JDXL towards the bot side of the map, NYYRIKKI took these death timers and instantly threw them towards the top side of the map. They knew that the Rift was going down, but because Dan was doing it on his own, he was very slow. Aero was able to push in the wave. He's the first one in River over MNS, and then they ended up taking them down. The only saving grace right here is that, of course, yes, JDXL do manage to get the Rift, but look at the top side of the map. Azator has already transitioned towards the top. He's taken 2 of these tower platings, and then Flipper, Sandura, 9 minutes in. This is going to be huge for NYYRIKKI.
This is absolutely massive for the Finnish team. And for me, I was talking to a couple of coaches earlier. I was talking to Jamada actually when we were in Div 2. And one of the signs of a really good team, especially on patches like this, when a play is happening, when one of the teams pulls the trigger, look at the mini-map on the other side of the map. What are they doing? We saw JDXL going for that Rift Herald. That was quite a nice call, but then it went wrong for them. But NYYRIKKI, they're so quick to just go in, adapt, and say, look, we know what's happening here. We're going to go get 2 plates on our marksman who is a little bit behind. And that is going to be proving to be massive for them. Because yes, Flipper is a monster, but is he going to be able to carry this game on his own shoulders? No, he's going to need the team around him, and that's exactly what NYYRIKKI are trying to facilitate.
Sure, and if we take some flashbacks back to Spring 2021 in the LEC, Inspire was able to pentakill. First pentakill in the LEC for a jungler, I believe it was, with Viego. So if there's one champion you can possibly playmake with, that is going to be this champion. You grab one of the souls, you grab Aurelia, there's so much playmaking potential. You grab Lucian, there's so much playmaking potential to do there. So there's definitely the chance for Flipper to make the plays for his team. Now I'm looking on the other side of the map, and all of the money is on Venza.
So much damage comes through. Flipper picks up another one as he secures the kill.
Viego is stronger. That was the conclusion right there. All the money's on Venza, but Viego is stronger. 6-0 for Flipper right now. He's holding 100% of his team's kills. MNS.
He's on the tower on his own. Going to be able to get the stun up, but it's Nautilus who's tanking the tower. He might actually be in trouble because remember these tower shots do a whole lot more. MNS dives away, securing the kill as he goes. They will lose tower plates, but they do grab the kill.
He does grab the kill, so that's the best of the worst situation, but Azator has cashed in on more than this Rift Herald is going to be able to give over to JDXL, unless Venza somehow manages to secure the mid lane tower right here. Aero has no mana.
Under the tower, there needs to be careful. Teleport coming on through, but I think Aero will be dead on arrival. The charm, the flash, that's really clean from Ari, as Danis needs to be so careful. Banderas won't be able to get the knock-up as Venza dives away. Cries will get the assassination with the ultimate, but it's just going to be that 1 kill.
Okay, we said 12.10 is not the patch for action.
This patch is slow? I don't understand.
This patch is slow, everyone sits underneath the towers, right? But this has been action-packed. We have more than 1 kill per minute, and right now what happened in the mid lane is that Venza got 3 tower platings from that Rift Herald, but the tower did not end up going down. And if you look at towards the top side of the map, I think Azator managed to almost get that tower. I think there's like 1 tower plating left, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, he says number 1. I can see that much. There's 1 turret plating left, which means that the time investment, the fight that they lost, the 5 kills they gave over to Flipper was worth it at this point for NYYRIKKI, because Azito fell behind in lane, but they've managed to move him around the map and keep him safe enough to try and cash in on all this money he's fallen behind on.
And what did we say about Azito? He can be a little bit anonymous in lane, but he picks up massively later. If he's coming out of this laning stage, yeah, with a few deaths because the aggression was coming through, but if he's coming out even or even slightly behind, late game team fights, this guy's a monster. He's on a Felios, which is going to be doing so much work just as a champion. NYYRIKKI are going to be able to put themselves in an exceptional point. And in late game team fights, or even team fights now, you can't be focusing Aztor, because otherwise Flipper will murder you and everyone you've ever known.
Absolutely, and he's also got the, well, it's still caps, but I call them still caps with an R between, yeah, yeah.
Never forget.
They're a little poopy, but in this point, you're playing against triple AD, double auto attackers as well in the Aurelia and the Lucian, so there's going to give you a lot of value from these as well. And I just really love the fact that on speedrun Anathema's chains, which I'm expecting are gonna go onto Venza. So the second this Ornn jumps onto Venza and he's putting that damage reduction onto him, it's going to be huge for that Ornn to be able to sort of push away the only fed member so far from the side of JDXL, and then maybe allow Azito to do his magic in this fight.
He's transitioning back towards watching bot lane. We've done an awful lot of that this game already, as you can see members kind of congregating around Dragon. It's not going to be there for another minute and a half. JDXL have been exceptionally good with the Shyvana. Obviously, you want to be securing those dragons and have been able to do just that. Mountain Dragon will be the one on the menu for these two teams, and both teams will want to start picking their ones up. But it's around third Dragon when we often start talking about wanting to see those first major skirmishes.
Really quickly and really important right then. 1 minute 25 seconds, as you mentioned, for the Dragon. There is no teleport for Banderas, as Abagnale has been the target.
Yeah, he's going to be focused down, goes very, very low, the exhaust, but here's Dan, shoots at him and will be able to get a kill. Well, actually, FGG secures the kill as the fire goes wide, but it looks like JDXL will be able to get the priority they were looking for and secure themselves a tower.
That bot lane has been the recipient of a lot of action and aggression from the side of JDXL. And I think putting Venza ahead is a really nice plan to have, especially when you drafted that Lucian and Ami really high up on your list. And then on the other hand, for NYYRIKKI, B1 on the Viego, 6-0 so far with the Sandra. We need to actually see Flipper come to life further on these team fights. Back to the Dragon, 45 seconds, and Banderas does not have the teleport available. Cries, TP up, ultimate up, and I'm thinking that NYYRIKKI might actually give up on the third Dragon, give Soul Point to JDXL, maybe try to push a little bit in the mid lane with that Rift Herald that Flipper just got in his pocket, and then maybe fight later on for that Soul Point. But see Dan also towards the top side of the map. I'm not sure if...
I'm just keeping an eye on where they want to be playing for, because it was very quick from Banderas to start wandering himself down towards the Dragon, and it looks like NYYRIKKI is
it's a
trying to set up
fanatic bush.
NYYRIKKI, are you going to find anyone? Are you going to... It doesn't look like JDXL are actually going to be going through that direction. They just want to take control of the mid lane for now, but Dan, be careful.
So the thing is, right here, if you're JDXL and you don't have any vision, you want to mostly walk through that middle bush that you see Dan going towards right now, but FGG's going to walk the wrong way.
FGG to go in there, no, the flash goes through. That's an excellent read from Abagnale, and that's going to be the assassination onto FGG, but they managed to get the tidal wave off first. NYYRIKKI now going to move towards this Dragon. JDXL, but they don't need to hugely fight this. Eminez is behind, maybe looking for an assassination. The Aurelia could run rampant if she gets going. Eminez just hanging out back there, but the chance going to land on the Cries, is going to be able to eat an orange and move back. NYYRIKKI will start the Dragon. Is Eminez going to be able to do anything here? They look for the anchor, can't find the fishing rod this time around. Eminez gets the ultimate onto 2. He can look to dance, going to fight. Flipper needs to be very, very careful. It goes low, but JDXL are ripping through the fight. The Dragon is secured by NYYRIKKI, but they're sent running as Aero's the only survivor.
Cries with the huge damage through the barrels, absolutely ripping through everyone's HP bar. Yes, NYYRIKKI managed to take away Soul Point from JDXL, but at what cost? And FTG right there chooses the wrong route to walk from, gets completely assassinated by what has been used so far. There is no Nautilus ultimate, there is no Ari ultimate, or an ultimate has been already used. And as you will see on the top side of your screen, Aero is using the last 2 remaining charges of the ultimate to try and catch Cries, who has the fruit, cleanses the taunt, and gets away. So all the crucial ultimates have been used. Flash, Hex Flash from Abagnale as well. And look at that huge barrel combo in the middle. Boom! Everyone gets absolutely assassinated by Cries.
And for NYYRIKKI, you've got to ask if it was worth it, because losing so many members, allowing JDXL to take the kill lead like that is going to be a little bit worrying for them, and giving over so much gold into the hands of Venza once again, and of course MNES.
Yeah, and I was about to say, I feel like, because Flipper had a huge shutdown on his head as well, and I'm looking at every single member, and unless Nami got the shutdown, which FTG did not, because he already had 1 kill, whoever that shutdown landed on, it's so much worth it, because all 4 other members of JDXL except the Nami are playing on carries right now.
And you can see the gold leads across the board as well. And even Flipper, who's been playing exceptionally well, we talked about what impact he's having, isn't massively far ahead of Dan on the other side, because while aggressive plays have been made by the Viego, Dan has been very effective at farming up and getting objectives around the map. You can see that by the 2 early dragons. Arrow's going fishing. He needs to be a little bit careful. Can't find the charm, though, as Dan is going to be forced to ult away. It's nice to see NYYRIKKI still trying to keep this aggression going, but you've got to imagine, is this the best decision?
Well, that is 2 ultimates used right there. Eminence is pushing one side lane, Kraz is pushing the other. Banderas had to TP. Down bot.
And Banderas is going to be clearing up down here, as you mentioned. It's just going to be stopping that push from coming through. But I'm a little bit worried about NYYRIKKI, because they look so good, and technically, individually, I think they've looked pretty strong this time around. But JDXL, as we're getting into the team fighting, as we're getting into the slightly later stages, they've grown into this game. We said at the beginning, oh, we might get another solo kill for MNES, as they're actually going to dive away as Dan is here to assist. But JDXL, they haven't always looked super convincing at every stage, but they always seem to win the League of Legends game.
Yeah, I feel like the early game stage is not the cleanest, especially since we saw Venza and FTG on such a strong bot lane, but then there were a bunch of hiccups where FTG is walking where he shouldn't, they don't respect the Nautilus very much, Flipper is down the bot side of the map, and then we see Dan getting caught at Rift Herald, so MNS pushing too far mid, so again, XL are undefeated so far, but they haven't necessarily been very dominant in every game they have won. So NYYRIKKI still have that Aphelios in the back of their pocket. Yes, that Aphelios is about 2,500 gold behind. That is a problem, and he is 0-4 right now, but he's trying to catch up, and once he has 2 to 3 items, if he's allowed to get to 2 or 3 items, because, mind you, they stalled for that soul point, and they took the dragon away, they're allowing that Aphelios to farm a little bit more. Now, when it comes to team fights, when you have such a short-range comp, such as JDXL, it is so important to have ultimates like the Nami ult and the Gangplank ult to either separate members of NYYRIKKI and pick them apart, or bunch all of your AoE together, which is what happened in the previous fight at the Dragon.
Absolutely, and if they're able to catch up multiple members, then it will be really, really great for them, because if NYYRIKKI can just stay back a little bit, maybe get some poke off, maybe just stay a little bit more defensive, then they're going to be able to run over team fights with champions that do go very well late. You've got the Aphelios, as we've talked about so much. The Viego is a monster when he gets going, and he's definitely going with that scoreline. And Banderas as well is going to be pumping everyone up with these ornaments.
Yeah, but this will take a little bit to get there. This is why I'm a little bit concerned, right? The Aphelios only has 1 item and a BF sword, whilst on the other side, if you look at the Lucian, he's almost at the 3-item mark, and it hurts a lot because you've got the Kraken and you've got the Essence River, you're going to be reaping through HP bars, and at this point, your Ornn is not even that tanky enough. He bought Anathema's Chains to put it onto the Lucian, but it's not just the Lucian that's a threat right now. That GP is giga strong, the Aurelia is very strong. When that Demonic Embrace is going to be built onto the Shyvana as well, she's going to be pretty strong too. So Anathema's Chains, if anything, is making the Ornn weaker right now, rather than if he had maybe something like a Frozen Heart or a Gauntlet.
There's just going to bring down the culling, but the anchor goes wide, so there's no re-engage coming through from NYYRIKKI. And it's interesting looking through those items, as you mentioned, the bot side, but with the Shyvana checking in, Joanna was talking about what is going to be built up, and it looks like the Frozen Fist has been secured, but maybe a little bit more AP on the side. However, we have to hold that point because Dragon coming up in a couple of seconds' time. NYYRIKKI controlling the river, want to be stopping JDXL from finding Fritters when it would set up soul point. That's a really nice catch on the damage. Going to have to ult away, but the damage going through now. Abagnale goes so low and will be removed as JDXL take command of the Dragon Pit.
And it feels like just the team fighting and their pick potential is just so much better, especially since there's so much gold ahead right there. Venza's going to get caught.
They're going to be knocked up as well. Banderas moving forward. Can he get the kill down? He's got the assistance from Flipper. There's the shutdown, but it goes onto the Ornn. Flipper will get a reset, but dies immediately afterwards. MNES marauding forward, looking towards the Ornn, chasing NYYRIKKI. NYYRIKKI back. Aztor's too low to assist. Aero probably is too, as Eminez is just going to play bouncer as the rest of the team move to the objective.
Again, it feels like it's not clean, right? Because XL want to secure the Dragon, they want to secure Soul Point, but they just have no vision onto that river. They are very slow with the tempo, they don't get their vision first, but just because they have this composition where they can play aggressive, they're Lucian super far ahead, Dan is tanky enough to get caught by 4 members and not die and ult out, gain extra HP from the Dragon form, and then Eminez and Cries bailing him out together with the Lucian. It feels like the outplay is there, but it feels like the fundamentals are still lacking, and I think we need to keep our eye on to the last Dragon in 4.5 minutes time, because we need to see how JDXL are actually going to approach this macro-wise, right? Pushing down your side lane, push down mid lane, establishing some vision, and not having to face check every single time, and in return maybe losing a kill or two. Talking about losing a kill.
As Tor goes down, Aero is here, maybe gonna try and pick Aero. He just finally realized that Eminez is there and will have support coming through from Bandera, so it's going to be a 2v1, but what can Eminez do here? Dancing between the towers, Liquid Stun won't be able to find it as the ultimate from Ari is blown. I think this really isn't too long for this world, but it's actually dancing through the minion wave, does get shut down eventually by Bandera as Abagnale.
XL are running Baron. XL are running Baron right now. They have an exceptionally fast Baron timer. The Shyvana Lucian Gangplank combo is tearing through that HP, but Flipper is around, doesn't have his flash available though.
So Flipper might try and get the steal down, but it's going to be very, very dangerous. Ornn has been called. Baron goes super low. He goes to the back of it. He's going to get away. Flipper grabs the Baron. As now we're going to see if the fight, who can get away with the objective. Banderas waddles out. Flipper needs to be careful as Dan moves forward, wanting to get vengeance. One slow might be all it takes, but the charm from Aero could be massive. NYYRIKKI are running to the wind with their objective. They've stolen it away. That's Baron on at least 3 members.
Ooh, the desperation play coming in from JDXL. They're losing Eminence down the bottom of the map, but NYYRIKKI lose Azator, which is the hyper carry. But guess what right now? Azator is nothing for NYYRIKKI. He doesn't have the items. He's not the hyper carry yet. Aero deals a lot of damage on that area. You've got Flipper with 6 kills in his name, 2 items, completed the death stance as well. And Banderas on that Ornn has been a huge mid shield for them. Look at Flipper diving through the back wall of that Baron pit and just steals the Baron away right under Dan's nose right there. That must be so freaking frustrating for XL, losing the mid laner, then losing the Baron. But for NYYRIKKI, this gives them so much life because they can actually push down the lanes, establish some vision, and give Azator a lot of that much needed farm that's going to be pushing towards them.
And it's on 4 members because Aztor did manage to secure it as well, respawn just in time, which means that they're going to have so much pushing power and a little bit of combat advantage as well coming through from those stats. So while JDXL have looked dominant when it comes to fights, NYYRIKKI might have just gained a little bit of an edge that they need. My question for you is, with this Baron, do you want to see them be assertive and try and initiate plays, or is it just about stabilizing?
I think it's about stabilizing, right? A lot of the players in the scene, solo queue would call it hurtling. You sort of like slow down the pace, trying to get these items onto your main carriage. You see Death Cap is almost completed for Aeros Ari. You also see Bloodthirster completed for Azator, which means that he's going to be that much harder to kill. Yes, he deals less damage than if you went a Zeal item second, but that makes him much harder to kill as well. JDXL are going to completely ignore that, but look at the TP flank coming in.
Behind, they want to see us fighting NYYRIKKI, and they've got Abagnale on the side, but he's been caught out by Vision as there's multiple different wards in there. Abagnale going to get stunned up. Eminez has dove onto him, but the ultimate's going to come on through, and now Eminez might be in trouble split from the rest of the team. The T goes super, super low, will be secured by Banderas, who looks for the knock-up, turns it, only lands it onto Dan, but that might be enough as Azator moves forward. It's multiple members of NYYRIKKI trying to catch up members of JDXL. Cries does have TP, will he look for it? The ultimate hasn't been available for this one, and now Banderas is moved forward, but as you said, he can't tank all these members, as Spencer moves forward, gets the kill onto Abagnale. JDXL, look at the teleport coming in behind. It's in the bush, but it looks like NYYRIKKI are going to step backwards. Cries is here, though, setting up the barrels. How much damage? He's not going to land it onto anyone, though, as Banderas looks to catch him out. NYYRIKKI are caught in the pincer. Aslan needs to be careful, but there comes Flipper, grabbing one, resetting, looking to survive. Will be able to do it with the ultimate. Manages to get 2 and resets again. Cries is in retreat because he just couldn't take down Banderas as Flipper decides against chasing. That was so close.
Flipper is deciding he is not losing this game. What a performance on that Viego, managing to kill 2 right there. And mind you, every time you pick up the solo of a very squishy support, it's usually a huge bait because all your defenses go down and you're mainly helping your team set up for another kill, land the bubble, land the heal, and all that. But as you can see, Eminez chooses the wrong path from his team, which means he ends up going down instantly. Venza with a really turnaround kill right there, but NYYRIKKI are marching in strong as 4 from members, and they're waiting now Dan's ultimate as well. Banderas is gonna take the flash from FTG as well. And whilst all this is going on, Christ is pushing towards the top side of the map. Venza sees an opening, kills Abagnale again, and now that it's a 3 versus 3, this is where Christ chooses to TP in. But some really nice footwork from Astor right there is going to get away from all these barrels thrown his way. And Flipper, wait a minute, is that
It's
deja
the same
vu?
location as we come on.
I thought that was deja vu.
It's another replay. I thought they were just going to start again, but we're going to see a call
Replayception.
through on to Dragon as NYYRIKKI are the ones huddled in the pit, Aero over the back, but all of JDXL are coming down that choke point. They want to try and contest this one because it would be solid. They can secure Banderas, looking for the ultimate, lands it onto 2, but it's not priority members. Christ actually get knocked up. So much damage going down on him, but it's still on half health. Emnes on the side, looking for Astor as he dives away. Vendors there too. Who will win of the marksman? It's going to be Astor with support of Aero as the fight looks like it's going JDXL's way in the other side, but both carries majorly from NYYRIKKI are still alive. They're looking towards Astor, takes a little bit too much damage. JDXL have confirmed themselves sold, but NYYRIKKI put up a decent fight.
Yeah, and they're pinging down towards the bot side of the map as well. This huge wave down the bot side is going to push for that inhibitor tower as well, if not take it completely. And Soul is going to be secure for the side of JDXL. It looked like a really promising fight actually for NYYRIKKI, getting that huge own ultimate right there. But you just see the power of creating space with the Aurelia ult, with the Gangplank ult, with the barrels, with the Nami ult. There's just so many key components in this fight where even though, again, JDXL's composition is so short range, they're just making it work due to these ultimates, and NYYRIKKI just could not break the streak of the dragons and give the soul away.
And that's going to be pretty mad for JDXL. Now they've got this dragon, they've got those tank stats, but maybe most importantly, we're going to have soul. But this is what we saw last time, and as you mentioned, JDXL just a little bit too good when it comes to scrapping.
Yeah, and as you can see right there, Eminence also is going to walk towards the flank, towards the bot side of the map, but JDXL members are stuck in a choke point, which is the perfect way for Banderas to start this fight with the Ornn ult. You see that Prize is left behind, he gets knocked up, then Abagnale is going to hit one hook onto him, and then this is where the fight starts. But Venza is playing from the side, and Eminence is dispatching on whoever is on the side, then he chases over Flipper, and then once your jungler is down and Smite is not a thing for you, JDXL will secure the dragon themselves. I feel, okay, it was a little bit, now that I'm seeing it again, Venza jumping into 4 members was a little bit of a question mark because he ends up going down, but let's say...
Creating space.
Exactly, he was he's the one that should be created space for, but he was creating the space this time. Good one, Viper.
He just dives on forward, it's going to take both.
He's like, guys, I want to give you what you've been giving me all this game.
He's like, I will be
I got you, I got you.
diving forward. And if it takes 2 carries to bring him down...
I am the space now.
He's just one moving Gangplank ultimate. He's like, you can't come next to me. I know my team's short range, but I'm keeping you away. And JDXL have actually moved towards this Baron buff. They're starting it up. Members.
Okay, Flipper, eyes on you again.
All right, Flipper, what you got? He's going to be caught out on a ward, but he should be able to clear it out in short order. Dan's like, guys, no.
Not again.
Let's start this fight first, because I don't want to get this stolen away. That would be disastrous. Banderas caught out by Eminence on the side, but he's a little bit tanky, but it's only one member. Look at the other part of the fight, though. Dan has the ult, but he's going to throw some fire down, trying to keep Astor away. Banderas is like, please, help me, team. I need some support. The ultimate's going to come through
everything.
from the Nautilus. Banderas is still alive, but he will be cut down eventually. It's Venza with the kill. Era has to go on. Astor on the back, looking to get the damage down. They can't find too much, but they do manage to get the charm on the first kill. Flipper now on the resets. What can he get? Looking for Dan, but won't be able to find him as he slithers away. No, the red buff secures the kill. As Azator, full health, could move towards this Baron, potentially chasing JDXL away.
What a full chaotic fight from both of these teams, but at the end of the day, if you don't have Smite standing for you, you cannot start a major objective. But you know who has Smite? It is going to be NYYRIKKI, Kryze, and FGG. What do you have? Eminence, full HP from the top wave as well, and NYYRIKKI have to actually go back to base and regen some of that HP because I don't think it's worth it throwing the game right here and giving a free Baron away. And honestly, if there's something that I really love about this patch is the fact that it feels like gold leads don't really matter too much. It feels like one objective can turn the entire game around. You secure one Baron like NYYRIKKI did before, and you can actually stall the game and try to get more gold and items onto your carries. And suddenly, look at Azator. 3 items in his inventory. He's got the upgraded Gale Force. He's got the Infinity Edge. Look at Aero as well. He's got his Death Cap right there. Just purchased the Magi. This guy is that confident right now. So the damage is there. The items is there. Very similar. I don't think it matters anymore that Venza has an item over on Aphelios because Aphelios is just that big hyper carry. And right there, because he had the Sniper and the Chakram, he was able to play even through the wall.
Absolutely, and as this game ticks on, I know that we need to be careful about using terms like scaling and late game.
Hashtag we scale, boys.
Hashtag we scale. You say that in all of your solo queue games is absolutely fine, but...
I don't play Katarina.
Oh, so you don't do anything?
I don't scale. Nah.
Oh, I'm sorry to...
Yeah, I'm sorry too, man.
I play tank, so all I do is scale. For me, it's a case of, I just feel like JDXL have been the team in control most of this game. NYYRIKKI have fought valiantly, but the further this game goes on, I look at NYYRIKKI's composition and I say, hey, one big team fight. We know on this patch that one big team fight can be all it takes, and we've got Elder Dragon up in 1 minute.
I think we didn't notice right there how much Banderas was winning 1 versus 2. It was MNS plus FGG versus 1 Ornn. Guess who wins, chat? The Ornn!
The problem there is that FGG was there. If it was a solo kill, it would have been MNS by a long way.
He took MNS down even on a 1 versus 2. This Ornn is so freaking tanky. He's got the Anathema's chains. He's most likely going to be either on Venza or on MNS, and now they want another fight.
They're going towards Banderas, sending more than 2 members this time around. The Tidal Wave might catch him up. The Gangplank Ultimate 2, as it looks like Abagnale is just going to go for the full retreat, but Banderas has fallen, and that's a lot of tanks that is going down. MNS in the backline, looks towards Aztor. Flipper finds Aztor, as Flipper has to flash away, but the Aurelia is running rampant. Aztor needs to keep retreating, looking towards Venza. Will be able to get the kill, but he's the only member surviving. Aero dives away. MNS is playing Warden. Could that be it for JDXL?
Absolutely. JDXL ran down the entirety of NYYRIKKI right there. Only Eivor survived. He will not have the ultimate. Does he have what it takes to clear this wave and actually help his team survive a little bit longer? Because there's 4 members of JDXL running him down.
They're just chasing him down towards those turrets. Aero flashing away, needs trying to out the minions, and so many members of JDXL, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. It was valiant, it was stalwart, but JDXL, it doesn't matter how well they play, because they win the League of Legends as they take their 5th win and destroy NYYRIKKI's Nexus.
Whew. Okay, I think we set it up really well at the start of the day, right? We're like, undefeated, but are they dominant? No. Did they look dominant this one? Not really. I feel like their individual skill is bailing them out of such hard situations that they create themselves a lot of the times. And I feel like NYYRIKKI had really good weapons of turning this game around, but some very unfortunate fights, right? The fact that maybe all the gold and kills went towards Flipper, and Nasdaq was like star for the majority of that game might have been a problem, but if you're Viego, you have to take those and try to carry, and I think Flipper tried his best. It just feels like for yet another day, thinkers from JDXL just worked better.
And, I mean, it's kind of the MNS story in a team, right? They take lots of different shots. They try and make these flashy outplays. MNS went for every flank available that game. Some of them work, some of them don't. But at the end of the game, enough of them do, that they came out with the victory. And while NYYRIKKI, not the result they would have wanted, have proven that last split we were kind of down on them.
Hey, you take the dub and you take the 5-0, I guess.
I mean, the performance was there. The result was not, unfortunately. We're going to jump to our desk to see what they made of that first game of the night.
Thank you, Viperun. And there we go. JDXL still undefeated so far. No one can take them down, but there were a lot of points where NYYRIKKI had the lead.
And once again, I generally feel like this game became way more competitive than it should have been. We said it when we talked about the matchup initially. Yes, you're looking at NYYRIKKI against JDXL. It should just be JDXL, but some of the mistakes come through, and I think some of it comes down to the drafting differences, and some of it comes down to Flipper with a monster little performance at Herald.
We need to talk about Flipper. We need to talk about the early game as well.
Yeah, Flipper was just in the right place at the right time in the early game, was able to pick up that shot that I'm pretty sure was a shutdown by the time he got to the bottom lane to sort of stem the bleeding a little bit. Obviously, we saw the 2v2 at level 2 not go the way, unfortunately, of NYYRIKKI. It was a little close.
That was, oh no, that was cringe. That's what we said. Okay, I want to give you the unfiltered.
Yeah, if you want the unfiltered,
Me and Jamada were watching bot lane. Okay, we're watching the play coming through, and it's looking good for NYYRIKKI. All of a sudden, Abagnale, Azita, completely not on the same page. One flashes after the Nami, the other one just doesn't do anything, and you know they end up failing in the 2v2. But this is the big one for NYYRIKKI. The fact where they finally pick up some kills with Flipper.
Yeah, and this is just one of those moments where you just have to kind of sit there and accept that Viego is a champion.
Oh yeah.
He can just kind of do this to you. But I feel like realistically, this was just significantly better setup from the side of NYYRIKKI, able to have their numbers there first, respond to the play. I think, I would say a little disrespectful, but the fact that JDXL didn't potentially see the full collapse of the team coming, I think for a Herald take, definitely a little bit risky compared to what we typically see from these Herald takes.
It's one of those things, specifically with team as well, who's first starting up with the objective setup, is that They go through all the correct steps in terms of setting up for the objective. They get the objective.
Yes.
But that last thing, that what happens after you got it, sometimes goes missing. And that's why I think NYYRIKKI this time around, they came in with really good punishment of coming in with a man advantage, getting the resets on Flipper. And yes, they lost Herald, but they still get the team fight that makes them remain competitive.
And was this game as close as you guys thought it would be?
I feel like I got the game I expected. I actually kind of felt like we would see, probably because of the Band-Aid Nami Lucian, we talk about, Venza and FGG maybe having some laning issues.
Yeah.
Seeing that, come to a front and then they, get their own lead between the 2v2. And then we get this mid-game where Stefan obviously kind of popped off and held up NYYRIKKI. But again, some of the team fighting tools available to JDXL are just a little bit too strong.
Yeah, I think as well, this is the exact same scenario. You get on the Drake, but you have no vision control around the left side, you have no control around the blue side, and you have no control around the bot side, right? So there's realistically speaking only one way that you get in, and they get access to that. But afterwards, they just get pincer maneuvered. And once again, no engage of JDXL, they relied on ground control through their abilities. And when you walk into a chokehold like that, and all of a sudden you're caught in between the Gangplank barrel, the slows from the Aurelia ultimate when it hits as well, you just get blasted. You don't find a single target you can blow up and get the resets with. Yes, they get the Drake, but they lose the fight, and that's the pivotal thing.
This means JDXL start another week with a perfect score so far, but we're heading on to the interview. I think I got some information that it's Torok on the other side. What are you doing? I was promised 10. Why are you back?
It's not my fault, man. I keep trying to get these players scored interviews, but some of them don't have webcams. Dan's webcam fails. It's not a good time, all right? I'm trying everything for you. I'll get some people on eventually, okay?
Okay, but you're trying a lot of new things as well, bringing in the Shyvana as well, the adaptation on the bot side, coming in with the Lucian and Anami, because you do believe your bot lane, we're going to do that dance again, okay? We're going to tangle again. We're going to do it again, Torok. You do believe that the bot lane is still shaking a little bit, so bringing the Lucian alongside with the Nami was like your flex tape to make sure that you would be the aggressive one?
No. It's I still have faith in my bot lane. Okay?
Obviously.
And when I look at Lucian Nami, I'm saying they're getting first blood, right? They come in there, first blood. They're stomping the game. Venza FGG, sometimes Venza likes his montage plays. He thinks he's going to be UC, but aside from that, it's all good.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit about those objectives. It seems like the game resolved around every single objectives, where we went to the Dragon and all that. We went to a Nettled, we went to a Baron. Talk to me about that.
Well, when you pick Shyvana, you're really looking at taking a very objective base game. The Shyvana is the champion, obviously profits a lot from taking Drakes for our own team. We had the bot priors to sort of enable us to take skirmishes around those areas. Gangplank also enhancing our ability to take early Drakes, right? So when we lock that pick in, we're basically saying we're going to fight you on every single Drake. I think we could have got Soul Drake a little bit earlier if we played better in this game. We probably could have got Herald as well if we played better. And the idea is we'd also not Flipper Baron versus Flipper, right? So I think across the board, this could have been cleaner. But yeah, we wanted to play an objective-based game here.
Okay, still undefeated, and I'm going to toss you a question that I had specifically for Dan, and you can answer me as his coach. I saw his tweet saying that patch 12.10 was disgusting, but now he brings in the Nocturne, he brings in the Rek'Sai, he brings in the Shyvana. Is this patch allowing people to play things that are not so meta-ish, and it can explore more options? Or you still believe it's kind of a weird patch for everybody?
I always believe in playing whatever champion that you think is best in the given state, right? And so as we saw last split with Eminez playing 14 to 16 different champions, I can't remember how many there were, right? And sort of a similar vibe with Cries up in the top line. We were playing a lot of different champs there. Now it's Dan's turn. So, he gets to come in and play any champion that he feels like. And so far he's whipping out 3 different ones over the last of our little stint on 12.10. So who knows, maybe we'll get to see a huge variety of unique jungle champions in the near future.
I hope so, because I know he loves a specific champion, as I do. Thank you so much for this interview. We still have a bet going on, and it seems like you're winning so far. So I'll see you soon. I know I'll see you soon. It's not like I have an option, so thank you so much, Torok.
What's that bet?
Thank you.
Oh, you weren't here, yeah.
Okay, so the bet is Torok told me that he's going to be undefeated by the end of the split. Not only he, but the AD carry as well told me that in an interview. And if they are undefeated, I have to make a video apologizing for JDXL for not believing in them. If they do lose, though, they have to make an apology video for me.
I mean, Torok, you might as well get the film rolling. That apology video is coming out for you at one point, that's for sure.
Apology video with tears, you know.
The whole bit.
Yeah, a whole bit.
The entire package.
Get a puppy.
We're sorry.
Deep sigh at the beginning of the
On
video.
the carpet, fireplace, in the air, like every scenic shot you can get.
Yeah.
This game was actually close. Even though the score was kind of one-sided at the end of it, there were a lot of options for NYYRIKKI. And one of the players that allowed that to happen was Flipper, the jungler coming in from NYYRIKKI. And this is why I want to have a conversation with him. And there you go. He's ready for this. It was a tough game, obviously, but you had an amazing start. Can you lead me by the beginning of the game? We don't talk about the entire game, just the beginning of it.
Beginning of the game went pretty good. The only thing that maybe went a bit wrong was the bot lane shenanigans that was going on. Our main goal for the team has been to improve our early game, so having done that is very nice, and now we can move on to the next steps, which is obviously going to be improving our mid game and late game.
Okay, when you got that lead, when the team got that lead, it seemed like you didn't really know what to do next, specifically versus a team as weird as they did in terms of champion select. Do you believe that the disengage capability was higher than your engage capability?
I think our engaged capability was fine. I think our draft was pretty good, and I think the main issue I saw was mostly that when we were having fights, we didn't have proper setup in my eyes, and we weren't really on the same page in some of the fights. So yeah, we would probably need to improve on that.
Tell me something. Are you happy with the result? I know for a fact everybody knows that you guys wanted to win. You had the game in your hands a few times, but are you happy that you made JDXL bleed as much as they did?
I mean, I'm happy that we made the team sweat for it, but obviously we're not happy with the loss. But I like that we are able to show progress on improvement. So our goal right now is obviously, as I said, to improve our early game. So I would expect you guys to be able to see that we improve our mid game later on in the split, so that we're able to maybe next time take the challenge up to XL and beat them.
To wrap it up, Flipper, you were considered on the pre-show one of the best junglers in the league, by the way. I don't know if you know that, but just letting you know that the analysts.
It was on my team.
It was, yeah, you were picked by Goldberg, by the way. And I cannot with you. But one of my questions is, the champion select that you brought in seemed like the previous patch, the 12.9 or even MSI patch. And we were talking about NYYRIKKI having such a good adaptation for the 12.10. Can we expect something different on the later day of the week?
Yeah, I think we will probably be adapting our draft probably every week to make sure that we have what we deem the optimal draft. So if we think that last week we maybe had some gaps that another team maybe can punish, then we will try to adapt it so that there's no longer these gaps.
Okay. Thank you so much for the interview. You made them bleed. You played really well. So congratulations on that note. And I hope to see that adaptation coming in from NYYRIKKI.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. There you go. On your team, I know. But this is really
I didn't
good.
know I drafted Pablo Escobar in my team, man. Flipper coming in clutch here with the Mushna. Like back when I knew him, you know, he was looking younger. This time around, man, it's been a couple of years, man.
Last words for this game, though. What could we take away from this for both teams coming in with JDXL?
Do you want to take XL or should I? I mean,
I think JDXL still, like, I don't think that this is, for example, a draft that I would pick against any better team. I think you would would get punished immediately by that. I don't think you can rely on your players individual because they can be matched at later stages. And I think it's good for them to get a close game against a team like NYYRIKKI. And I think for NYYRIKKI as well, it's good for them to have this kind of team come against a team that wasn't really punishing with their own engage options, so therefore making it a bit more competitive and slower towards the mid game. But I mean, definitely in the NXL just being the one that runs away with it.
What about NYYRIKKI?
Honestly, I think positive in terms of, you know, responding to the Herald play. Some of the team fights, yes, maybe I think a little bit suboptimal, right? But I think you can maybe accredit XL on how they actually approach the team fights, right? Always having M&S come off on the flank, or always having really well placed cannon barrages from Kryze. I think those are the key things that really stopped NYYRIKKI from having any real teamfight success after the first 10-15 minutes. But I think realistically, just some of the map-wide responses that we did see were probably some of the better takeaways. And also, I feel like their draft wasn't that bad. I think when you, maybe take into the context of 12-10, you might have some question marks, but I think reading the room of, okay, we need the go buttons, we're the underdog team here, realistically, we have to make sure that we can always be the ones that are picking these fights. I think that was really nice to see.
Okay, how this this game affect the standings? Let's take a peek at what happened. JDXL obviously are still undefeated at the top of it with 5 victories. NYYRIKKI, though, jumped from 3rd place into 8th place with a 2-3 at this point. Obviously, they're 1 game away from the rest of the pack, so this doesn't mean a lot, but it's
They just went from making
well.
playoffs to be out of playoff contention. That's crazy. In the 1 game. Wow.
it is week 3.
You guys didn't see that at home, but Guborg held the most serious stare with Archer as he said that. Just deadpan, no sarcasm in his voice.
I miss this, lads. I
yes.
miss this guy. Okay.